The knock wasn't a knock. It was a violent, entitled pounding, the kind that says the person on the other side already believes they own whatever is behind the door. I remember pausing mid-sentence, my coffee halfway to my lips, and locking eyes with the man sitting across from me. He raised an eyebrow, calm, observant, the way people do when they're used to chaos but never surprised by it. "That'll be her," I said quietly. The pounding turned into shouting. "Open up. This property is in violation of HOA regulations." I sighed, stood up, and glanced out the window of my lake cabin. Sure enough, there she was. Arms crossed. Clipboard clutched to her chest like a weapon. Perfectly pressed blouse. Sunglasses far too expensive for someone whose entire personality revolved around fines and control. Karen, president of the Pinewater Shores Homeowners Association. Terror of the lake. Self-appointed ruler of anything within eyesight of her pontoon boat. She had no idea what she'd just walked into. 3 hours earlier, the cabin had been peaceful. The lake glassy and still, early morning fog rolling like slow breath across the water. Birds calling. The kind of quiet you drive 4 hours to remember exists. The cabin wasn't my primary home. It was inherited. My grandfather built it by hand decades before Pinewater Shores even existed. Long before anyone thought of HOAs, bylaws, or approved exterior color palettes. The deed was ironclad, lakefront, private, no HOA jurisdiction. Karen hated that. She'd tried everything. Letters, fines, threats. Once she even tried to claim my dock, blocked migratory bird pathways, which would have been funny if she hadn't been serious. Today, though, she'd escalated. Inside the cabin, sitting at my old oak table, was the state attorney general. Not a body double, not an assistant. The actual attorney general. Jacket off, sleeves rolled up, coffee steaming in front of him. He was an old friend of mine from law school. We didn't keep in close touch, but when he called and said he needed a quiet place off the grid to discuss a sensitive land rights case involving lake access and HOA overreach, I knew exactly where to bring him. "Do you want me to handle this?" I asked him. He smiled faintly. "No, I want to see how this plays out." The shouting outside grew louder. "I know you're in there. You can't ignore an HOA officer." I opened the door. Karen recoiled slightly, surprised I hadn't looked ashamed or frightened. Her eyes immediately scanned past me, trying to see inside. "This is a private meeting," I said calmly. "You're trespassing." She scoffed. "Don't get cute with me. We've received multiple complaints about unauthorized occupancy, unregistered guests, and illegal use of this structure." "From who?" I asked. She smiled tightly. "That's confidential." Behind me, the attorney general stood and walked closer, just out of her line of sight. Karen stepped forward, trying to push the door wider. "As HOA president, I have the authority to inspect." I blocked her with my arm. "No, you don't." Her face reddened. "Excuse me, you do not have authority here. This property is not part of Pinewater Shores. You've been told this." Repeatedly. She laughed, sharp and dismissive. "That's not what our revised boundary map shows." "That map is wrong," I said. "Oh really? Because our legal team, that map," came a calm voice from behind me, "is fraudulent." Karen froze. She leaned sideways to see past me, finally registering the man standing there. Her expression shifted from annoyance to confusion to forced confidence. "And who are you supposed to be?" she asked. The attorney general stepped forward into full view. "I'm the state attorney general," he said evenly. "And I'd like to know why you just attempted to force entry onto private property during an active legal consultation." Silence crashed down like a dropped plate. Karen's mouth opened, closed, opened again. I didn't know," she stammered. "No," he said. "You didn't bother to know." Her clipboard trembled slightly in her hands. She straightened, defaulting to her usual tone. "Well, regardless of who you are, this cabin is subject to HOA compliance. We've been very patient, Ms. Harper," he interrupted, glancing at the name badge pinned to her blouse. "I am currently overseeing 3 investigations into HOA misconduct across this state. Abuse of authority, fabricated documents, illegal fines, trespass." Her face drained of color. "And," he continued, "one of those investigations involves Pinewater Shores." I watched the moment her world tilted. I don't understand," she whispered. "You will," he said. "Soon." Karen tried to recover. "There must be some misunderstanding. We're just trying to maintain community standards." "By falsifying boundary maps?" he asked. She flinched. "By harassing non-member property owners?" he continued. Her sunglasses slipped slightly as her hand shook. "By attempting to seize lake access and privatize public shoreline." She dropped the clipboard. The papers scattered across the porch, fluttering like surrender flags. I didn't mean, she started. The Attorney General turned to me. Do you have the documents? I nodded and reached into the drawer beside the door, pulling out a thick folder. Original deeds, surveys, correspondence, cease and desist letters Karen had ignored. He flipped through them methodically. Ms. Harper, he said without looking up, you are currently trespassing. You have 30 seconds to leave this property before I call the sheriff. She backed away like the ground was suddenly unstable. I'm so sorry, she murmured. I'll clear this up. This won't happen again. Oh, it will, he said calmly. Just not the way you think. She turned and fled down the path, nearly tripping over her own heels. The lake returned to silence. We sat back down. He exhaled slowly. That, he said, was enlightening. That was Karen on a good day, I replied. He smiled. She just handed as probable cause. Over the next 2 weeks, everything unraveled. The HOA's revised boundary map. Proven forged. Their legal team. A single overworked paralegal who'd been fed bad information. The fines. Illegal. The lake access restrictions. Criminal. Karen resigned before the indictment dropped. Sold her house. Moved out of state. No farewell email. No apology. The HOA was dissolved. Replaced with a voluntary neighborhood association with zero enforcement power. As for the cabin, it's quieter now. Sometimes I sit on the porch with coffee, watching the fog lift off the water, thinking about that pounding on the door. About how close she came to ruining her own life because she couldn't stand not being in control.